there's plenty of what ifs.
What if we didn't have corruption?
Persecuciones o guerras.
LHIVE.
Ageism.
Discrimination.
Stigma.
ماذا لو فهم الجميع في العالم معنى أن تكون مهاجرا بعيدا عن أهلك، بعيدا عن ناسك، بعيدا عن وطنك؟
I always think, what if my home just disappears? What if my whole country disappears? And what if my daughter never gets to see it?
What if the world was cleaner?
What if my child could grow up in a world where climate change wasn't a constant threat and where cities were pollution-free?
أمنيتي لها خاصة بعدل الفرق بين المدينة وبرات المدينة.
Tous les jours, on voit les villes grandir, on voit un exode rural des populations, et cela vient avec beaucoup de problèmes, des problèmes de logement, des problèmes d'insalubrité, des problèmes de santé publique.
By 2050, globally, there will be more people over the age of 60 than children. So we need to plan for age-friendly cities.
Но это единственным образом можно решить. Один шаг за шагом.
There's so many people that have nothing, and there's so few people that have a lot. And you think about inequality. I mean, so important to understand that we need a world that is more equal.
What if we lived in a world where all that mattered was how we cared about each other?
We're all deserving of the same kind of care and love and health and education. And these are just all basic necessities that we should all have access to.
世界上的贫富差距应该可以减少，而且将会有更多的工作机会给新的一代。
New technology can do things that are completely undreamt of. What if it was used for bringing education to rural areas?
Tout ce que je suis devenu, c'est vraiment cette éducation que j'ai reçue à la base. Et je pense que si moi je peux accéder à cette éducation, tous les enfants du monde doivent avoir accès à ça aussi.
如果全世界一起合作，打造一个共享的网络空间，那么所有人都能够参与数字经济。
¿Qué tal si en el mundo nos escucháramos?
When we bring our minds together, those ideas become innovation.
I think my only what if, out of many what ifs, would be what if every young person was empowered to reach their full potential?
What if the world was a more secure place for young people like me?
Мы все в этом мире временные. Y у нас есть путь выбрать.
Cuando digo que hace falta solidaridad entre países, también es solidaridad entre las personas.
What if all the nations understand that we are so powerful? We should be the instrument of peace. We should be the peace.
What if leaders and communities would understand that they should use dialogue and not conflict to address their differences?
Si c'est possible.
Do I think this is possible? Yes, because I'm an optimist.
I'm an optimist.
We need your opinions, your strategies, your ideas for us to be able to deliver better for the people of the world that we must serve.
We can change this game.
It is absolutely essential that you all join the conversation.
Everybody has to contribute. We don't have an option.
Everybody needs to talk. We need to come together.
There are 30 million young Filipinos today. When they are empowered, they can create a prosperous and sustainable future for humanity. How? Let's focus on just one girl. Let's call her Nina. Nina can fulfill her dreams if we give her the power to shape her own future. She can be an inspiring leader, a productive worker, an innovator, a caring parent, or a key person in her community. But without proper support and access to opportunities, her future will be at stake. That is why the United Nations Population Fund is supporting the conduct of a 15-year study that will follow a group of 5,000 10-year-old girls and boys from all over the Philippines. We want to learn the changing needs of Filipino youth like Nina for the next 1.5 decades so we can give them access to the best solutions. Because what the world will look like in 15 years depends on our power to unlock the potential of a 10-year-old today. Will you let their future slip away?
Mag-ingat.
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 Hindi lang COVID-19 ang virus na nilalabanan natin ngayon.
Hindi lang iisang virus.
Human immunodeficiency virus.
May COVID-19 man o wala, people are still having sex.
Kung walang proteksyon, maaaring tumaas ang panganib para sa ating mga Pilipino na makakuha ng HIV.
Kasama na dito ang mga kabataang babae.
Mga kabataang men having sex with men or MSM.
Mga buntis.
At mga survivors ng sexual na karahasan.
Stay protected. Education is prevention.
Mahalagang alamin ang mga paraan kung paano maiiwasan ang HIV sa panahon ng COVID-19.
Kahit may pandemya, importanteng abot kamay sa lahat ng Pilipino ang mga serbisyo at programa na patungkol sa HIV.
Online man yan o digital, mga services na madaling puntahan o isang text o tawag lang.
Stay protected and safe. Alamin ang iyong HIV status.
Magpa-test.
Makipag-ugnayan sa mga health facilities.
Upang magkaroon ng access sa gamot, impormasyon, testing, and counseling.
Para sa mga sexually active, ang wastong paggamit ng kondom ay epektibong paraan para maiwasan ang sexually transmitted infections, HIV,
at hindi planadong pagbubuntis.
Alamin ang iyong status. Para sa mga buntis, regular na magpa-check up sa inyong midwife o doktor. Mahalaga rin na sa birthing clinic o ospital manganak para masiguradong mabantayan ang ligtas na kalagayan ni nanay at baby. Hinihikayat din ng mga nanay na magpa-HIV test para patuloy na mapangalagaan ang kalusugan ng mag-ina.
Sa mga kababaihan naman na nais magpuwang o nais umiwas muna sa pagbubuntis, alamin at pumili ng family planning method na hiyang sa iyo.
Makipag-ugnayan. Para sa mga survivors ng gender-based sexual violence, maaaring makakuha ng post-exposure prophylaxis or PEP mula sa mga Women and Children Protection Units para maiwasan ang pagkahawa ng HIV.
Sama-sama tayo. Alamin natin ang mga paraan kung paano maiwasan ang HIV sa panahon ng COVID-19.
Stay protected.
Education is prevention.
Mag-ingat.
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 Mag-ingat. Stay safe.
There are 30 million.
Ayan, so hello mga kapatid!
Mars, narinig pa ako, Mars?
Yes, Mars, clear na clear. Hello, naimbag na rabi ka na tayo.
Oo, clear ka din.
Yeah.
Clear
Hello, good evening, Mars.
Oo, good evening.
Yeah, ayan, so naimbag, rabi ka na kayo amin. Hello, gagayem kan kakabsat. Kumusta ang lahat? Welcome to the second episode of #AgSARITA. I am John Carlo de la Cruz, and I am one of the board of directors of APEER Ilocos na nagpapaalala sa panahon ng pandemya, tayo ay manatili sa bahay at palaging maghugas ng kamay. Ayan.
So ayan, tama ka dyan, Mars. Ako naman si Ami Joy, isang peer leader at proud member ng APEER Ilocos na nagsasabing, always be happy to stay pretty.
Ayan. So feel na feel ko talaga, Mars. Feel na feel ko na super happy ako tonight. Ayan, kaya naman, I feel so pretty.
Yan, ganyan,
so,
Mars. Smile
Mars?
lang para pretty tayo.
Yeah,
Ayos lang naman
Kumusta
ako,
ka naman,
Mars.
Mars?
Since nag-start na ang online class, alam mo, medyo nakaka-stress, pero syempre, tignan mo naman, fresh na fresh pa rin. Ikaw, Mars, kumusta ka naman?
Ayan, wow, nahiya naman ako sa freshness, Mars. Ayan, eto Mars, okay naman at kinakaya naman ng lahat. But I am proud na sa kabila ng stress na dulot ng online classes ngayon, hindi nawawala yung passion natin as youth volunteers. Di ba,
ayan,
Mars?
tama nga naman, Mars. Oo, ngayon, isa na namang gabing puno ng kaalaman at kasiyahan ang ating matutuklasan dahil ihahandog namin ang pangalawang episode ng pinakahihintay nating hashtag AgSARITA, Agtutubo+Sarita. So ano nga bang AgSARITA, partner?
Ayan, so para sa kaalaman ng lahat, ang hashtag AgSARITA o Agtutubo+Sarita are Iloco words which means youth for Agtutubo and talk to Sarita. So if we combine them together, youth and to talk. Hence, this is an online platform for an intergenerational dialogue with young people and advocates on leadership, health, education, economic opportunities, human rights, peace, and security.
So ayan, tumpak ka dyan, Mars. Dahil nasasabik na kayo sa ating mga school and community-based peer ed sessions, at dahil pinakikinggan namin ang inyong mga kagustuhan sa gitna ng pandemya, ihahatid namin sa inyo ang pangalawang episode ng APEER Ilocos hashtag AgSARITA.
Ayan, tama ka dyan, Mars. At alam mo ba, Mars, na ang tema natin ngayon ay Role of the Youth in HIV and AIDS Awareness and Prevention, na napapanahong usapin lalong-lalo na sa mga kabataan at bilang bahagi ng maagang selebrasyon ng World AIDS Day sa darating na Disyembre, tayo bilang mga kabataan, sama-sama nating palawigin ang ating kaalaman para patungkol rito.
Ayan, so tunay ngang napaka-espesyal ng gabing ito dahil pinaunlakan tayo ng isa sa mga kilalang beauty queen sa bansa. At hindi lang siya queen of beauty dahil queen with a purpose din siya.
Ayan, tama ka dyan, Mars. But before we start sa ating chikahan with our guest speaker, na formal nating ipapakilala mamaya, gusto muna naming banggitin ang mga house rules para sa isang malaya at payapang hashtag PANAGSARITA.
Kaya naman mga Wars, watch this.
Watch this.
So ayan mga Mars, sabi nga ng house rules natin, ang importante, dapat mag-enjoy lang tayo at chill. So kaya naman
Ayan,
mga
tama,
kapatid,
Mars.
sit back muna tayo and relax dahil maliban sa ating mga house rules, babatiin natin yung mga kapatid natin na nanonood sa ating FB Live dito sa ating shoutout!
Ayan, tama ngayon. Isa-shoutout namin yung mga friends natin or yung mga viewers natin dito sa ating FB Live. Ayan, so nakikita natin dito, Mars, no? Mag-hi muna tayo. Siyempre, first and foremost, sa pinaka number one supportive na mother ko. Hi kay Mother Nora de la Cruz. Ayan, mama ko yan, Mars, and she's supporting me right now.
Ayan, so batihan lang din naman ng mother. Binabati ko din naman yung aking father. Nanonood din siya ngayon dito sa bahay. Hi, Papa Jongjong!
Ayan, sabi din ni Mark Jericho Mina, Bear, Mars. Hi daw, or pa-shoutout daw. Hi, Mark Jericho Mina. I hope you're doing well, Be.
So ayan, hi kay Maki.
Ayan, hello everyone. Nakikita natin dito may mga friends tayo. They are from APEER Ilocos Sur and also from other organizations. Mga, feeling ko mga SSGers. Student leaders yung mga to, Mars, no? Ayan, so hello sa inyong lahat. And also, babatiin lang din natin si Ate Connie Joy Umaweng, one of the board of directors ng APEER Ilocos Sur, na gumugunita ng kanyang kaarawan ngayon. Ayan, so happy birthday po, ate!
Ayan, so happy birthday, Ate Connie. And of course, hindi natin kalilimutan si Ate Clizel, ang Secretary General ng YPEER Pilipinas dahil kakapanganak lang niya ngayon kay Baby Ethan.
Oh.
So ngayong araw na to, happy birthday kay Baby Ethan.
Oh, ayan. Hello, happy birthday, Baby Ethan. And of course, congratulations, Ate Clisel. Ayan. Mars, may mga nagpapahabol. Ayan. Hello daw kay Vincent Sevilla and Christian J. Cabanglan. Ay, hello mga be, mga kapatid.
So ayan, pati din si Rudolph Raymond Rose, pa-shoutout daw po. Hi, kapatid na Rudolph!
Ayan, hello mga kapatid. And now, alam mo ba, Mars, na ang previous episode ng ating hashtag AgSARITA ay umabot tayo ng, hulaan mo, Mars?
Ilan nga ba nung last episode? Feeling ko nasa 20,000 tayo nun.
Hindi ka nagkakamali, Mars, dahil umabot tayo ng more than 23,000 reach and more than 7,000 views na nakakamangha lamang, di ba, Mars? Dahil nakapagbahagi tayo ng malawak na impormasyon sa mga young people tulad natin.
Ayan, so tumpak ka dyan, Mars. So dahil nag-e-enjoy na tayo, no, sa ating interaction with our viewers, ay babalikan namin sila maya-maya dahil alam naming excited na kayo sa ating guest speaker for tonight.
Ayan, tama yan, Mars, di ba? So, but before that, para naman magbigay ng overview para sa ating hashtag AgSARITA, nais ko pong tawagin ang ating kuya, ang kuya ng APEER Ilocos Sur, at ang ating butihing senior board member ng Provincial Government of Ilocos Sur. Ladies and gentlemen, mga kaibigan, let us welcome Kuya Jaime Jimboy Singson.
Hello, Carlo. Hello, Ami. Kumusta?
Ayan.
Hello po, Kuya.
Magandang gabi sa lahat ng mga nakikinig sa AgSARITA ng APEER Ilocos Sur. Welcome po. We're very happy. Ito po yung pangalawang AgSARITA namin and we're hoping na madami pang susunod. Maraming salamat po kay Kuya Ralph ng YPEER Pilipinas at kay Ate Clisel for always supporting us. Maraming salamat po. Again, andito lang po ako nagbabantay sa mga bata. So rest assured po, yung leadership training program at advocacy ng APEER ay tuloy-tuloy. Kay Ate Pat, ang guest natin ngayong gabi, thank you so much for saying yes to APEER Ilocos Sur. Just a brief background, no? Yung APEER Ilocos Sur, we used to focus sa mga community workshops. Small-scale community workshops na yung mga participants are 25 to 40 adolescents per group. Pero dahil nagkaroon ng COVID, we are forced to move online para maituloy namin yung advocacy namin. Again, maraming salamat sa mga nanonood, sa mga viewers ngayong gabi. Thank you so much for helping and supporting APEER Ilocos Sur.
Ayan, so Mars, nag-deliver na nga ng message ang kuya natin. No? Hello po, Kuya Jimboy. Kumusta po kayo, kuya?
Okay naman. Diyan ka.
Alam
may
mo,
mga
nagpapasalamat din po kami sa suporta ninyo sa amin, Kuya Jimboy.
Oo, tama yun, kuya. Kuya, may mga nagtatanong po sa comment section natin. Ano daw po yung mga pogi tips ninyo, kuya? Bakit daw ang fresh nyo po?
I hindi ako nagpo-focus doon. I just do my job, okay? Do your
Ayan.
job, enjoy your job, you'll be happier. People will naturally think na kakaiba yung mukha mo.
Ayan. So, grabe, no? Kapag gwapo talaga, ganun, Mars, no? Parang walang ka-eme-eme na ano.
Siyempre
Ayan, but
naman,
Pinakagwapo
Mars.
ng APEER Ilocos Sur ay si Franz. Kasi nung nanganak si Ate Quizel, doon natin nakita na kamukha ni Franz. So, siya yung pinaglihi.
Feeling ko, Kuya, maraming mag-disagree sa sinabi niyo po, Kuya. Ayan. Hello, Franz. Sana okay ka lang.
I would like to say hello sa SK Salcedo, kay Ana May. Siya yung president ng Sangguniang Kabataan ng Salcedo. Hello din sa mga ibang kabataan pa ng Salcedo. Thank you so much at nag-attend kayo ngayong gabi.
So ayan kuya, after ka naming kamustahin, syempre meron kaming pa-ambush sa'yo, no? So mas pasasayahin pa natin ang ating chikahan at kantahan dito sa aking Kanta Ko, Dugtungan Mo. So kuya, alam mo, nag-prepare po kami ng tatlong popular songs. Okay lang yan kuya, gwapo ka naman.
Alam mo, Mars,
So, ayun.
hindi ako naniniwala na hindi marunong kumanta si
Oo,
Kuya
ako din,
Jimboy.
syempre. So, ang
Ayan,
gagawin
kaya
niyo po,
naman.
kuya, is dudugtungan niyo po itong mga kanta kung saan kami huminto.
Ayan, so kaya naman, Kuya.
Okay, go. Okay, go. I'll
Ayan,
try.
let's go. Ayan, laban. Ayan. Kaya naman, let us start, Kuya. Pero bago yan, syempre, you have no choice. Tatanungin sana kita kung ready ka na, Kuya, but you have no choice. You need to be ready. Ayan. So, ang first song po natin ay ang kantang Thinking Out Loud. Ayan. Familiar po ba kayo doon, Kuya?
Yeah. Ayan.
Ayan. So, I'll sing. Ayun. Ngayon po, paumanhin po sa lahat po ng mga nanonood dahil po ang pagkanta ko po ay hindi po. Ayan. So, I'll do my best po. Ayan. So, dudugtungan mo, Kuya, ha? When your legs don't work like they used to before, and I can't sweep you off of your fate, will your mouth still remember the taste of mine?
Hindi ko alam.
Smile. Go, Kuya! Ayan, i-cheer natin, Be.
Go, kuya, kaya mo yan.
Ngayon, kung hindi alam yung lyrics, Kuya, kailangan i-hum. Feeling ko familiar ka sa humming, Kuya. Ayan. Ay, wow, ang galing naman,
Kuya.
Kuya.
With you every single day. Hanggang dun lang.
Ayan.
Wow, ang galing niyo
Mars.
palang kumanta, kuya. Sana all
Mars, feeling ko-
singeries.
Kulang yung golden buzzer doon, Mars. Ang galing.
Oo nga, Mars.
Ayan.
So ayan, moving
Go,
on
Mars.
tayo kuya. Dahil 3 songs yung prepare namin, meron pa kayong 2 songs. So ang ating next song po kuya is, ang title niya is Build Me Up Buttercup. So familiar na po kayo doon kuya?
Yes, I am.
So ayan, sisimulan ko po kuya ha. So para sa mga nanonood din po, pagpasensyahan nyo na po yung boses ko. Kasi ganda lang talaga yung meron ako, charot. So ayan. 5, 6, 7, 8. Why do you build me up, buttercup baby, just to let me down?
And then worst of all, you never call baby when you say you will. But I love you still, I need you. More than anything, baby.
Be.
So build me up, buttercup, don't
Buttercup.
break my heart. Okay na yan.
Ayan, ang galing mo kuya.
Be, Diyos ko, talagang kulang na talaga yung golden buzzer para kay Kuya,
Pang
Be.
The Voice siya, Mars. Pang The
Yeah.
Voice.
Ayan, so let's go to the last song. Kuya, feeling ko ito familiar kayo. Are you familiar with the song Can't Take My Eyes Off You, Kuya?
Yeah, okay.
Ayan.
Go.
Ayan, I'll start. I love you, baby, and if it's quite alright, I need you, baby, to warm the lonely night. I love you, baby. Trust in me when I say. Ay, grabe. Ang galing naman ng aming moms.
Oo nga, ang galing kuya. Sobra.
Ayan nga. So, since tapos na namang mag-deliver, do you have something to add, kuya, dun sa message mo kanina? Before
Yeah, I'm very
you,
excited. So let's proceed.
Ayan. So, maraming salamat po, Kuya Jimboy Singson, ang kuya ng lahat. Ayan.
Thank you po kuya sa inyong time.
Thank you, Ami. Thank you, Giancarlo.
Thank you so much, kuya.
Thank you po. So ayan nga Mars, sobrang galing kumanta ng ating kuya. At sa sobrang galing niyang kumanta, sobrang dami din ng mga naibahagi ng ating kuya. And sana, na-inspire ang mga kabataan at lalong-lalo sa mga nanonood sa atin sa ating FB Live.
Ayan, so totoo yan, Mars. Ayan, so kaya nga, we would like to say once again, thank you so much po, Kuya Jimboy. Ayan, so partner, nabanggit ni Kuya Jimboy ang community-based peer education session na ginagawa natin sa ating community like schools, barangays, municipalities dito sa Ilocos Sur.
So ayan, upang mas magkaroon tayo ng pananaw kung ano nga ba talaga ang advokasya ng APEER Ilocos Sur, heto po ang audiovisual presentation na nakuha sa aming Community Peer Ed Session sa Alilem, Ilocos Sur last December. So panoorin.
Ayan. So ayan, Mars, napanood na nga natin ang peer ed session natin sa Alilem. Alam mo, until now, hindi pa rin talaga ako makapaniwala na nakapunta ang APEER Ilocos Sur sa Alilem, Mars, no? Dahil alam naman natin na upland municipality ang Alilem, and it takes like couple of hours para marating ang lugar na yon.
Totoo, Mars. At alam mo ba na ang sarap talaga sa feeling na makapag-peer ed tayo doon kasi sobrang participative at sobrang napaka-active ng mga kabataan doon, no? At sana nga after the pandemic ay magkaroon tayo ng chance para makabalik ulit doon at makamusta naman yung mga kapatid natin na taga-Alilem.
Totoo yan, Mars. At ilan lamang yan sa mga napakarami pang dapat nating ma-miss na experience sa Alilem at sa mga community peer education sessions natin through face-to-face. Nakakamiss din talaga, no, Mars, no?
Totoo talaga, Mars. Kaya naman may quarantine tayo ngayon para substitute sa ating face-to-face.
Ayan, totoo yan, Mars. At ngayon, ang susunod namang makakachikahan natin ay isa sa mga champion pagdating sa advokasya at isa rin siya sa mga humubog at nag-train sa mga kapatid nating peer educators ng APEER Ilocos Sur. Ang ating mema at ang pinaka-fresh kahit maraming ginagawa, ladies and gentlemen, to give his words of encouragement, please welcome YPEER Pilipinas Vice President of Visayas, kapatid Rayjan Dionio. Ayan, palakpakan natin mga kapatid.
Hi! Magandang gabi sa inyong mama talaga, di ba? Lakas
Kuya Ray dyan.
Hello po, Kuya.
Magandang gabi. At alam ko, magandang gabi Amy at Giancarlo. Yung ibang mga kasamahan nyo ay na-train ko dati doon sa legal literacy. So I know na ang dami nyo talagang members. And I'm very happy with that.
Ayan, totoo yan, Kuya. Kuya, kumusta naman ang feeling na sinasana all ka ng mga tao? Alam nyo kasi mga kapatid, si Kuya Ray dyan, siya yung sana all pagdating sa clear skin, di ba? Di ba, Mars? O, di ba? Nakikita natin sa screen natin.
Ano ba yung secret mo, Kuya? Baka naman pwede mo i-share.
Naman po. Ewan ko nga talaga yung mga peer ed talaga natin, tinatawag ako na glass skin ng peer ed daw session, ganon. Mga Gemma talaga yung mga peer ed natin. Well, ayun. Thank you so much, Giancarlo at Amy. So, magandang gabi sa ating lahat. Naway safe kayong lahat at nasa mabuting kalagayan. Kuya Ray dyan nyo pala. Ray na lang, Vice President for Visayas Region ng YPR Pilipinas. So, magandang gabi sa lahat ng mga nanonood ng AgSARITA. Especially sa mga peer educators natin, yung mga na-train natin na TeenGen, online kakatapos na natin ng online peer ed training natin, no? And also yung mga board of trustees natin, especially Franz, yung Vice President ng Luzon. Hindi ko alam kung fresh si Franz, pero mabatiin ko na lang si Franz. Of course, Kuya Jimboy, sana magkita-kita pa po tayo. Gusto ko sana makipag-meeting din sa inyo sa Ilocos. Gusto ko talaga pumunta dyan. Sinasabi ni Win na dapat magbisita daw ako dyan sa inyo. Kuya Jimboy, salamat sa support at being the champion ng health sa ating being champion nung ating health diyan sa Ilocos at naway ang activity na ito ay maging makabuluhan at maraming tuto. So lagi nating tatandaan, ang mensahe ko lang dyan is lagi nating tatandaan na napaka-importante ng role natin na ginagampanan bilang kabataan. Tayo ay
Ayan, so mga kapatid, babalikan natin si kapatid nating Ray dyan. So may mga technical problems lang tayo ngayon, no? Ngayon, Mars, di ba? Kumusta naman, Mars, yung feeling na, di ba, nung pumunta tayo ng Alilem, ano yung pinaka-the best na memory na inaalala mo talaga doon na gusto mong uulit-ulitin, Mars?
Alam mo, pinaka-the best talaga kapag nag-peer ed session tayo is yung mga nakakakilala tayo ng mga bagong mga youth, ng mga kabataan, no? Nakakadagdag din tayo ng mga friends at hindi lang tayo nakakapag-share ng mga kaalaman din dahil nakakapag-share din tayo ng good vibes sa kanya.
Totoo, Mars. Ayan, di ba? Ang sarap lang sa feelings, Mars, no, na yung APEER Ilocos Tour, hindi na lang siya exclusive. Na dito sa syempre, it's impossible. Kung titignan natin, napaka-imposible talaga na ma-reach out natin yung mga kapatid natin na nasa upland. Di ba? Sobrang sakit sa katawan natin before, sobrang sakit sa katawan. Di ba? Hindi natin alam, pero my God, Mars, narating natin ang Alilem. Ayan, nagbabalik si Kuya Ray dyan.
So, hi, Kuya Ray dyan.
Kapatid na Ray dyan.
Ay, ayan.
So,
sorry, naputi. Sorry, ganun talaga.
Go ahead, kapatid.
Medyo napuputi.
Okay lang po, Kuya.
Ayun, so, bibilisan ko na lang. Maraming salamat sa lahat ng nanonood ngayon. Sana ay manindigan tayo doon sa katotohanan at manindigan tayo sa tinatawag nating katotohanan at dapat bawal ang fake news sa ating mga peer educators. Always remember natin na dapat fact lang ang ating binibigay at of course parte tayo ng desisyon na nagaganap sa ating community at sa bansa. Lagi nating tatandaan na there's nothing about us without us. Salamat.
Ayan, ang ganda naman nun, Kuya. There's nothing about us without us. Ayan, yun yung hashtag natin ngayon, mga kapatid. Ayan, so kapatid na Ani.
Salamat, Kuya Ray dyan, sa inyong mga sinabi. Wala na po ba kayong gustong idagdag na sasabihin sa ating mga kabataan?
Ayan, so feeling ko nawawala-wala yung connection ni Kuya Ray dyan. So ayan, go ahead kapatid, Mars.
So ayan,
Mars na Ami.
Maraming salamat po sa oras ninyo sa atin ngayong gabi. So sayang no, hindi tayo nakapagkantahan pero marami pa namang time para doon next time. So thank you po sa mga naibahagi ninyo.
Ayan, so maraming salamat kapatid na Radian. So bye Kuya Radian, sana next time makavisit kami sa Iloilo at ma-meet ka namin in person. At ipapasyal ka po namin kapag ikaw po pumunta ng Ilocos Sur, ipapasyal ka namin sa napakaraming lugar. Ayan. So maraming salamat po Kuya Radian. Bye po!
Bye po. So ayan nga po si Kuya Radian. Ngayon, wag na nating patagalin pa ang lahat dahil alam ko na super excited na kayo para sa ating chikahan tonight. Gaya ng nabanggit ko kanina, we have invited a guest speaker at take note, gaya natin Mars, gaya natin, no? Isa din siyang beauty queen, youth leader, public servant, and advocate. So Mars, sino nga ba ang ating guest speaker for today's episode?
Ayan, so Mars, feeling ko magugulat talaga ang lahat dahil we will be meeting a wonderful person tonight. Ayan, so yes Mars, ito na nga. Everyone is excited for sure, and I have the honor to introduce to you or to all of you our guest speaker for this #AgSARITA second episode with the theme, Role of the Youth in HIV and AIDS Awareness. Ayan, so ladies and gentlemen, she was crowned as Miss Philippines Air 2020, founder of Be Better Initiative, and the law clerk at the Office of the Court Administrator, Supreme Court of the Philippines. Special Investigator 3 at the Philippine Health Insurance Corporation. Finished Juris Doctor at the University of the Philippines College of Law way back 2019, and finished Bachelor of Arts in English at Bicol University with academic distinction way back 2012. The external vice president or vice chairperson of Bicol University Student Council way back 2011 to 2012, and an HIV advocacy ambassadress for the Department of Health and National Youth Ambassador of Project Red Ribbon. She was crowned as Miss Kaugma 2014, Miss Bicolandia 2009, Mutihan ng Magayon 2009, Miss Ibalong 2008, and Miss Bicol University 2008. The former Chief of Staff for Ako Bicol Party List at the House of Representatives, the President of 9th National Youth Parliament, a Student Ambassador of Japan East Asian Network of Exchange for Students and Youth, and Region 5 finalists of 10 outstanding students of the Philippines. Kakabsat kan gagayen, let us all welcome Miss or Ate Patrixia Sherly Santos. Ayan, palakpakan naman natin, Mars.
So ayan, hello Ate Patrixia.
Hello Ate Patrixia. Wow,
Maray
Mars,
na bang
nakakaano ka na. Ang ganda-ganda nyo naman po, ate.
Thank you.
Oh my God.
Just mabalos sa Indogabos. I'm from Bicol, so hello sa lahat ng mga taga Ilocos. Maray na banggi sa Indogabos. Good evening. And thank you very much for having me on your second episode.
And thank you also,
Thank
ate,
you,
dahil pinaunlakan nyo po yung invitation po namin. Ayun, maraming salamat po. Ngayon, ate, ano naman po yung mga pinagkakaabalahan nyo ngayong panahon ng pandemic?
Well, I'm very thankful kasi this year, even though for a lot of other people, it's as if their world stopped, diba? For me, medyo, it kept on going because I joined a national beauty pageant that still continued. Because sa lahat ng beauty pageant, nagpatuloy yung Miss Philippines Earth, to my surprise, and also to my delight, kasi napunan niya yung sinasabi nating gap or sinasabi natin na obstacle na nilagay ng COVID-19. So, it kept me very busy during the entire duration of the pandemic, yung lockdown talaga. And right now, after the pageant, I've been very busy balancing work. I still work kasi right now. And at the same time, my advocacy work. Kasi for me, it's always been very important na wag nating kaligtaan yung ating kumbaga social responsibility to be able to fill out our advocacy. So, ayan, kaya tayo ngayon nandito. I'm very happy to be with you this evening kasi we're going to discuss something na medyo siguro na neglect and something na medyo nakaligtaan ng mga tao dahil nga na-shift yung attention natin sa COVID-19.
Ayan, wow. Wow naman. So, ayan, di ba, Mars? Although napaka-busy talaga nga naman ng ate natin, si Ate Pat, pinaunlakan niya yung invitation natin. So, we're very lucky to listen to sa mga sasabihin niya mamaya na inihanda niya for her presentation. Ayan. So, tatanungin lang po namin, ate, have you been to Ilocos? Or, have you been in Ilocos po?
So, I've been to vegan, actually.
Wow.
Ano naman po yung experience nyo doon sa vegan na pinaka-memorable po para sa inyo?
Well, even before I've been a huge environmental advocate. So, ang favorite activity ko talaga is to walk around, beautiful landmarks, yung mga talagang notable places. So, walking around in vegan itself was one of the most memorable talaga because I think I just forgot there was an event when we went and walking around, experiencing the people, sobrang ganda ng experience. Kaya talagang gusto ko sana makavisit. Siguro after COVID-19 is over, definitely Ilocos would be one of the first places to go.
Ayan, we would love
looking
to,
forward
ate,
tayo,
diba?
no?
We're looking forward, di ba? Kasama natin, pupunta tayo ng vegan, kasama natin Miss Earth Be, di ba?
no?
Grabe.
Bongga, Mars.
Narampas tayo. Tapos,
True.
hindi natin palalampasin yung moment, nararampa tayo ng vegan nang hindi naka-crown, di ba?
Mayroon akong crown.
Crown. Tra.
Meron akong
so ngayon
Iskandar
nga.
Mars.
Ayan, so let's start. As the world grapples with the unprecedented challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic, young people are demonstrating their continued leadership in their communities and countries. According to a new United Nations plan to address COVID-19, young people are some of the most affected by the pandemic's socio-economic impacts.
So the world is currently facing a pandemic, which is the COVID-19. Aside from that, there are still various diseases and conditions that have been circulating around the world, which has affected thousands and millions of people. One of those is the HIV and AIDS, which has been present for over many years worldwide. According to the World Health Organizations, there are millions of people living with HIV, and various groups and organizations have been extending their help in disseminating reliable information regarding this matter.
Ayan, tama kapatid. So now, to discuss role of the youth in HIV and AIDS awareness and prevention, let us all listen and learn from Ate Patrixia Santos. Palakpakan natin mga kapatid. Ayan.
Ayun, maraming salamat sa ating naggagandahan at nagwagapuhang host. Thank you very much, Joy and John Carlo. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction and helping set a very vibrant mood for everybody. Of course, before I start, I would like to thank again APEER for inviting me over, Kuya Jimboy and Kuya Ray. Also a shout out to Ralph, who is the technical head for this session. He's a longtime friend in the advocacy. And of course, YPR Pilipinas. I've heard a lot of great things about this group, and it's always a thrill to work with like-minded groups and individuals. So maraming salamat, and saludo ako sa inyong local government unit for having this kind of session. So tonight we will be talking about the role of the youth in HIV/AIDS awareness and prevention. And next slide, please. At the end of this talk, siguro we would have a little idea on the HIV situation in the Philippines, and then what the youth can do about the HIV situation in the Philippines. And third but not the least is what can we all do in order to achieve a better HIV community. So next slide po. So it's a little small lang pala. StreamYard nga pala to, it slipped my mind. But yeah, understanding HIV and AIDS, what I really just want to share with this slide is the fact na wag nating kaligtaan na alongside this so-called COVID-19 pandemic, we were actually, even before, was fighting an epidemic. And this epidemic is what we call the HIV/AIDS epidemic in the Philippines. So over the past couple of years, from 1984 to 2020, the cases has only been rising, tumataas lang siya ng tumataas. Nung January 2020 even, talagang nagkapag-record ng medyo mas mataas na cases than usual, yung DOH. The weird thing, and I call it weird because there is a recent report by the DOH telling us na humina or kumonte yung cases natin recently. I think this was really a released data report by the DOH last July 2020 telling us na medyo bumaba yung ating mga cases, but at the same time, DOH is kind of warning us na considering na hindi kasi nakakalabas yung mga tao, hindi sila nakakapagpa-test because of the lockdowns, because of the community protocols, it's not as low as it should be. In fact, it's still alarmingly high. And they are very afraid of the fact na there might be, unreported cases ulit. Because before, one of the biggest thrusts of the Department of Health is to make sure that the data we have is correct and not just attributed to the fact na marami kasing ayaw magpa-test. Maraming hindi nagpapa-test. So ngayon, medyo kumbaga, isipin nyo na lang, we were moving forward already with the HIV/AIDS advocacy. And when COVID-19 went in, it actually proposed a snag in the plans, a snag in our forward movement, because now it's meddling with our data. So that is apparently the fears talaga of our leadership in the Department of Health. And of course, next slide please. I should be updating this data. So instead of 65,463 cases since 1984, we actually now have 78,069 cases in the Philippines. So imagine that. And take note, I think we all know that HIV, there's no cure yet. So up until now, if they're not yet dead, a majority of these people, of this number, are still suffering from HIV and AIDS, probably. So, also, siguro the new data also revealed that we had at least 187 new cases in the Philippines as of May 2020. And very much alarming, again, is I want to underline the age group that the age group of this 187 new cases is ranging between as early as 13 years old to 55 years old. So that's something na gusto kong i-underline tonight because these are youth, these are part of the youth there. And just to be able to see that at as early as 13 years old, and that's just a reported case kasi sa ating dynamics, here in the Philippines, it's usually very hard to be able to suggest to parents to allow their children to be tested at a younger age group. So, medyo maswerte na rin na merong na-test, na 13 years old or even 14 and 15. So I just want to emphasize to people that yes, HIV/AIDS is a problem, it's a continuing problem, and we have a situation, especially since it's affecting really our youth. So next slide po. In this next slide, I just really want to focus on the fact that these are the different modes of HIV transmission. Male, it's usually sexual contact. Again, refresh lang siguro. I know most of you know this, but sa hindi nakakaalam, modes of HIV transmission is sexual contact, sharing of needles. So this relates to the drug problem. And then number 3, mother-to-child transmission. Blood or blood products, blood transfusion, things like that. And 5th but not the least is needle stick injury. And the highest still up to now is sexual contact. Mas madalas mahawa ng HIV through unprotected sex. Okay, so next slide po. So there, actually, I know it's not that clear, but we just want to, you can see from this graphics, and all of these are either from the UNAIDS or from the DOH. Oh, there, it's bigger. So you can see that in this illustration, a majority of the people that we are finding to be positive is in NCR, Region 4A, ganyan. But you know, this is actually medyo na nakakapag-mislead sa ibang tao because they think, so marami lang pala na may HIV na nasa NCR. But that's actually not true. The reason why NCR has seemingly a high number of cases compared to other regions is because medyo mababa yung testing rate in the other regions. This is why I'm taking the opportunity to really encourage the local government unit to do not be afraid. Kailangan natin ng proper data. We need proper data in order to be able to treat the problem. And we need to determine if it's really not there or maybe it's being ignored. Diba? That's a huge difference. So we just wanted to underline that in the Philippines, kailangan pa talaga natin ng more testing centers, especially in the rural area. So and in the other figure there, on the right, tama ba ako? On my right, that's the HIV cases in Asia, 2010 to 2018 from UNAIDS. And as you can see, talaga namang nagli-lead yung Pilipinas. We're there at the bottom because we're the ones na talagang tumataas yung HIV cases. And it's very sad kasi yung iba na mga, you can see in Asia, talagang naglalag behind tayo. Other countries that usually you would think would have a bigger problem, like for example, Thailand, diba? Cambodia, Malaysia, this especially Thailand, who has a red light district, right? So for me, this is a wake-up call for all of us that hindi laging nakakatuwa pag tayo yung leading. Kasi 174% increase tayo. So this is something that we need to think about. So next slide po. Okay, so medyo minadali ko lang siya, but siguro I'll just go to the totals. In Ilocos, the HIV cases, ang naitala natin is a total of 281. I think this is naman since 1984 or yeah, this is since 1984. Meron tayong 281, but for June 2020, may isa lang na naitalang kaso, and from January 2020, nagkaroon kayo ng 11. And for the cases by sex, mas marami pa rin talaga yung nagkakaroon na kalalakihan. In fact, dun sa 11 nung since January, 9 doon ay lalaki at 2 lang ang babae. And ever since is talagang mas marami yung lalaki. And for the age group, yun nga, ito, nasasad pa rin ako kahit pa sabihin natin na 4 lang yung less than 15 from 1984. Hindi mo pa rin kasi pwedeng i-fully trust yung data na yan because DOH still is, behind the opinion na there are still gaps in the testing. And a majority talaga that we can see is there in 15 to 24, mga 80 cases ang naitala since 1984, and 25 to 34 years old, ang mga 128 cases dyan sa Ilocos Sur, and 35 to 49 years old, mga 62 cases, and for 50 years old and older, mga 7 cases. Pero lahat to since 1984 and yung age range talaga natin, yung average, June 2020, naitala nila mga 32 years old yung madalas na hahanap nila na mayroon. And itong from January to June, nagsisimula sila sa 17 years old to 33 years old. Yun yung average ng mga edad na nagkakaroon ng HIV. So, next slide please. And once again, sa modes of transmission naman, nangunguna pa rin talaga yung males having sex with males only. So this is a reality na mukha talagang sexual contact yung pinakamataas or pinakamalaking dahilan why HIV is spreading. And medyo meron lang mga ilang cases na mother-to-child transmission, but yeah, it's still sexual contact. Okay, so at least right now, gusto ko lang magbigay ng konting overview, di ba? Kasi we're all wondering, why should we talk about HIV/AIDS? Because we have to think about COVID-19, and daming problema sa Pilipinas. But I always counter with the fact that this is an epidemic that is hugely ignored, or gusto lang wag pansinin ng ibang mga sektor, you know. And I think as the Filipino youth, it is our responsibility to be at least well informed. At least dapat alam natin this is a problem and this is something that we have to help solve. So next slide. So the question right now is the Filipino youth in the HIV/AIDS advocacy, nasaan sila? What is expected of them, you know? And I included that picture to show to you that everything that we do in the advocacy is it to ensure that those children right there, you know, these children that I adore, and we all love children, we all want them to grow up well, we love them, and at the same time, we want to secure their future. And if we want to do that, we also have to secure them from the possibility of ever transmitting HIV to them. And this is a very serious thing na gusto natin na ipamahagi equally to all people, na lahat magkaroon ng tamang access sa tamang information and tamang mga kagamitan para maprotektahan nila ang kanilang mga sarili sa HIV. So next slide po. Nasaan nga ba ang mga kabataan? Actually, you know, the youth are in the middle of this all. Because in any advocacy, and believe me, I've been through a lot of different advocacies because I've always had a big love for the youth, a big love for education, you know, and a big hope for the future. And for me, ang kabataan talaga ang pag-asa nating lahat because there's a very unique thing about the younger generations, you know. It's not even just the millennials anymore. I'm a millennial and medyo may mga bagong generation na talaga after me. And all these generations have one very good trait in common, and that is their adaptability. In comparison to other generations, tayo yung generation na kayang mag-adjust. You know, we are the generation who were given the gift of adaptation. We are given the gift of being able to change when we see that the old things that we are doing are not working anymore, and we need to be able to come up with new innovations in order to come up with a solution. And yun talaga yung pinaka-unique trait natin. It's something that we must recognize. Yung older generation kasi, like our lolos, lola, they're kind of part of the generation that is medyo immovable objects. They're the generation, hindi ko naman nila lahat, but it's really an observation. This has been backed up by a lot of advocacy groups. Yung mga older generation, it takes a lot for them to change. And you know, our generation is actually working because worldwide, the HIV/AIDS advocacy is actually receiving so much progress because the youth are getting involved. The youth is engaging so much of themselves in order to be able to change the general opinion. And it's something na we should be proud about. Maging proud tayo because that is who we are. And that is what we can contribute to any problem or to any advocacy in this world. You know, our willingness to change and to adapt, to listen, to open our hearts, and to understand. So for me, yun talaga yung role natin dito. Our role is to imbibe, you know, the changes, the new perspectives, the new ways of thinking, kasi yun yung magbabago sa mundo. Because we are the next generation and tayo ang magdidikta kung ano ang mangyayari sa mga susunod na taon. And we must embrace that. So, next slide po. Of course, I also would like to share, ano nga ba yung dapat nating mindset na ipamahagi sa lahat ng tao. Now, this one is actually something I got from the Department of Health as their LHIVE Free Ambassadress. And actually, LHIVE Free is their program in order to address the epidemic of HIV in the country. And ang gusto lang talaga nating labanan dito at the end of the day is the stigma. Because one of the biggest threats and one of the biggest causes of death here is not really HIV, it's the stigma. And that's why DOH came up with this program, which is what we call the LHIVE Free program. If you notice, diba, it's LHIVE Free. And the explanation here is gusto nating tulungan ang bawat isa na mamuhay ng malaya. Mamuhay ng malaya sa kabila ng kung meron man silang HIV, mamuhay sila ng malaya at walang takot. At kung hindi pa man sila nagkakaroon ng HIV, ay manatili silang malaya dito. And the only way to be able to encourage people really to live free is to encourage people to get tested, to know their status and to get treated. If they are indeed, if they find that they have HIV. So that is really the main thrust of the Department of Health. And I agree. I think that the youth must understand that HIV is no different than any kind of lifestyle disease. It's not different from a person na nagkaroon ng diabetes because he eats too much of the bad things. It's not also very different from a person who has a heart attack because he has ignored all the doctor's advice for him to change his eating patterns, or even the person who develops lung cancer because he keeps on smoking, and the person who dies from liver problems because he keeps on abusing it by drinking dangerous substances, diba? So HIV is no more than a lifestyle disease. You can control it. You can, you can keep it from you if you make good lifestyle choices, because HIV is simply that. It's a lifestyle disease, and it's something na gusto nating i-share sa ating mga kababayan na we must remove the stigma often associated with it. And tayong mga kabataan ang dapat mag-share nito. It's very easy. I will also recount this in the later slides. But for me, it's very, akala ko mahirap. Pero ang kailangan mo lang pala talaga is to sit down with people and tell them, let them know what is HIV, data-wise, science-wise, and then let them know that mali yung mga misconceptions, mali yung mga iniisip nila na hindi naman pala talaga totoo about HIV. So later on, you will see that. So for me, ito yung kailangan natin na mindset, live free. And that's the mindset that we as youth must adopt. So next slide. And as the youth, tayo kasi yung magli-lead. So, ang tanong, saan tayo magli-lead? Sino yung kailangan nating kausapin? Sino ba yung kailangan nating impluwensyahan? Well, we help you guys by presenting this acronym. It's FREE or free. And ang una natin dapat i-approach is family and friends. And then religious and political leaders. And then educators and the media. And another E, the last E, for employers and the community. So these are the people na kailangan nating i-reach out to. Kasi sila yung tinatawag natin ng mga decision makers. Sila din yung tinatawag natin mga tao na naghuhulma ng public opinion. And these are the people that we need to convince and we need to talk to in order to change this society, yung iniisip, yung mindset ng mga tao towards HIV and the people living with it. So next slide po. Now, understanding HIV and AIDS, I know some of you might think na, well, iniisip ko lang naman yan, hindi naman siguro yan nakakasama sa ibang tao. Pero HIV-related stigma really comes out from unfavorable attitudes, beliefs, and policies. So as the youth, yung role din natin dito is constantly being, conscious. Yung muna, maging conscious ka muna sa sarili mo before, preaching to others. But yun na yung pinaka-importante natin na bantayan, yung unfavorable attitudes, beliefs, and policies. You might get surprised, but in this advocacy, I've been super active in it for since 2018. And I've been super active in it, and I have to tell you, I'm still surprised at the people who think na
They don't want to talk with somebody who has HIV, or they don't want to even interact, to talk to, and they think na okay lang naman yun, hindi ko naman sa kanya sasabihin, but they don't know that action speaks louder than words, and actions can hurt, period. And these actions na nagsisimula siya sa kung ano yung iniisip natin. Our thoughts are very powerful, and they lead us to who we are and where we are. And it also leads us to, the actions na nakakaapekto sa ibang tao. And as I said earlier, ang nakakamatay sa HIV is not really the virus, but it's really the stigma. Dahil sa stigma, nagkakaroon ng takot. At dahil sa takot, hindi nagkakaroon ng lakas ng loob ang mga tao na magpa-test. At dahil hindi sila makapagpa-test o makapag-test man sila, takot na sila agad. They feel like they're afraid of the judgment. They're afraid of how the people will react around them. And that is really yung mas nakakasama ng loob for me as a person who really just loves people, because, ang dapat natin kasing gawin dito, be united and be open and understanding. Sadly, in a perfect world siguro ganon, but sadly right now we need to help one another and guard each other, na sana matapos na yung discrimination, and we can do that by fixing talaga kung ano yung nasa utak, kung ano yung iniisip ng mga tao when it comes to HIV and AIDS. So next slide please. As the youth, for me talaga, one of the biggest things na you can do is to explain to people, myths and misconceptions. Hindi totoo na matatransmit yung HIV through talking, kissing, or embracing sa laway, sharing utensils, swimming, sharing toilets, mosquito bites. No, these things not true. Every time na kaya mong i-insert yon, every time na you can tell people, alam mo ba na ang HIV ay ganito, ganyan. It really helps. You think it's not going to help, but believe me, in my years in the advocacy, helping bit by bit will change the perspective of a person. And when you change the perspective of one person, they will go forward and change the perspective of their own community. So that's very important. And of course, next slide po. We want also everybody to focus on prevention, kasi napakahalaga rin na pangalagaan natin yung health ng ating mga kasamahan sa community. And it's very easy. I think you all know this, diba? A, B, C, D, E. Abstinence, hanggat kaya, then be mutually faithful, then consistent, correct use of condoms, don't use drugs, and the 3 E's, education, early testing, and early treatment. Ito mga bagay na to, you feel like, yan, paulit-ulit, pero wag po tayong magsawa na ulit-ulitin sa mga tao, because, yung pag-uulit natin, you don't know, you might be able to save a life. And next slide. Actually, nag-timer ako para hindi ako mag-over the time. So guys, this is the latter part of my presentation. So I just want to share with you the lessons that I had over the past few years as a redvocate. So that's what we call people who are active advocates of the HIV/AIDS community. We are redvocates. And next slide, please. Knowledge is power. So always empower yourself with information. Kahit na medyo nabubugbog tayo, I know, ang daming reading materials, ang daming kailangang basahin. Lagi, ang DOH naglalabas ng periodic reports, UNAIDS also. And always remember that knowledge is power, and that when you have that power, you have the responsibility to share it to people. When you get the information, do not ever forget to reciprocate by telling those around you kung ano yung natutunan mo, because that is a powerful tool that can save lives. Next slide din po. There, empathy is your greatest ally. Empathy, putting yourself in the shoes of other people. Like me, I always put myself in the shoes of the people that I work with, especially that little child over there who lives with HIV. And it has always helped me, develop a bigger understanding, and also know kung papaano ko ba sila kakausapin, papaano ko ba sila mabibigyan ng dignidad. Because even though we are helping each other here, this is an advocacy, even when we help out in other advocacies, never treat them as a victim, They are people, they have rights, and they have dignity. And we must learn to uphold and respect that. And I hope that you use empathy as your weapon of choice whenever you want to go out and help people, because we want to help, but the right type of help is also very important. Hindi rin na dapat tayo tumulong nang hindi natin iniisip kung ano nga ba talaga yung kailangan ng tinutulungan natin. So, and kung ano nga ba yung tamang way to talk with them. So for me, empathy talaga is the greatest ally that I had in the advocacy, especially in an advocacy also as sensitive as HIV/AIDS. Next slide po. There, have an open heart. So in the HIV/AIDS advocacy, ang dami kong nakilala na different people na talagang nakaka-inspire, people who disclose their status to me and share with me what happened to them. And I think it has helped that I have kept an open heart, no judgment. Because at the end of the day, we are human beings and we can never really be judgmental of the choices that other people make, because always remember that you yourself could have been exposed to the same kind of choices if only you were given a different set of circumstances. So always have an open heart, an open mind, and understand people, lalo na sa advokasiyang ito. Next slide po. Another important learning that I had is that you have to lead by example. So we're telling people, diba, live free, get tested, get treated. So you need to be able to prove also to people that you're getting tested. That's for me, I get tested regularly, and I do this not because I feel like I have to or I feel like I've been exposed, because hindi talaga. But for me, the value that is there in getting tested is showing people that it's not something to be afraid of, and it's not something that you should be ashamed of, and that it's something very normal. It's almost like testing your blood sugar when you're diabetic. And for me, all our advocates, if you're a advocate, you should lead by example. You should be able to do tests, even do it on your own or test other people. That would be amazing. So next slide, please. And of course, ako, part of lead by example is never being afraid to really plunge yourself into the grassroots level. Ako, as a National Youth Ambassador of Project Red Ribbon, maraming salamat po pala sa Project Red Ribbon. They are a big part of my growth in the HIV/AIDS advocacy. And ako, kahit saan nila ako padala as a person who gives HEATs, it's an HIV education awareness talks, and I've always made it a point to clear up my schedule even before, in order to be able to make sure na nakakatulong ako sa aking community. And you should also be brave enough, kahit saan, game ako, kahit anong oras, kapag kaya ng oras ko. Next slide po. Also, diplomacy goes a long way. So I've talked to a lot of different people, maybe from UNAIDS or even down to the grassroots level. I've talked to a lot of different people from different community sectors, and diplomasya talaga ay napaka-importante, because you have to understand, in the HIV/AIDS advocacy, you cannot get angry. You cannot be aggressive. You need to be able to change people's heart with honey, not vinegar. And a big part of this is diplomacy, being able to adjust to ano nga ba yung kailangan nila and ano yung kailangan mo, and maybe we can meet a compromise. And diplomacy helps you adjust accordingly. So mahalaga na alalahanin natin yon, especially when we're talking to groups, peoples na are more inclined to not listen, diba, to our advocacy on HIV/AIDS. So next slide po. Another important lesson is to change the narrative. In the HIV/AIDS advocacy, for so long, it's always been the common idea that, problema yan ng LGBTQ community, problema lang yan ng mga males having sex with males, because that's the biggest part of the transmission, right? But what they don't see is that the reason why that's the biggest transmission on the data is because not everybody is getting tested. Women are not getting tested. They think it's not their problem. You know, a lot of different sectors think, nah, I'm not going to get tested because I'm not included in that group. And you can see the stigma right there. And right now, part of the work in Project Red Ribbon and the Live Free is to change the narrative. Change their narrative by showing to people, like here when I guested on UNTV, we focused more on pregnant women, on making it a reproductive health issue amongst women and their children. And this is something na sobrang na-appreciate ng mga tao. And bigla silang napapaisip, napapathink twice. And I think na, yeah, it wouldn't hurt because it's for the safety of the mother and the child. And this is something that we must learn to shift to. And in fact, I think that's one of the reasons why DOH also wants more women to get involved with this, because nagkaroon din kasi ng steady rise dati sa data ng DOH on pregnant women who were testing positive with HIV. And dalawang buhay agad to na nalalagay sa panganib. Kaya this is something that we are passionate about. So guys, don't be afraid to change the narrative. When the advocacy is going one way, don't be afraid to go left. You know, don't be afraid to do something different. Kasi hindi naman natin alam, baka mag-work, diba? So always think out of the box. Don't be afraid to change the narrative. Next slide. This is actually the reason why we were able to partner with Vicks Vapor Rub. They were very much also into changing the narrative and shifting it also to children with children who were living with HIV and their mothers. So through a partnership with them, we were able to donate some funds for the care of children who were living with HIV, and it's something that I'm very proud about. Next slide po. Find your voice. After all the learnings, after all the immersions, darating yung point na kaya mo ng pangatawanan at kaya mo nang magsalita para sa advokasya. And when you find your voice, it's an amazing thing because when you talk about something that you're passionate about, it just flows and it just goes out in you because the sincerity there is evident. So just find your voice, find your passion in this advocacy, and go out there and talk. In the picture, actually, as a LHIVE Free Ambassador, we were talking to local government units. You know, we were talking to mayors here. And it's amazing being able to share to them. I don't know if they further acted on what we shared to them, but I did my part, and I think that's one of the things we have to focus on, doing our part. Kahit pa hindi natin alam kung nakinig ba sila o hindi, we have to take pride in the fact that we did our part. So don't be afraid, huwag ka magsasawa, paulit-ulit lang, speak for the advocacy. Ayan, and next slide po, may video, I don't know kung mapi-play nyo ba? Is it? Though hindi ko siya marinig. Anyway, if hindi siya naririnig, okay, hindi siya naririnig, but yeah, find your voice. So this is us, pwede ba bang marinig? Hindi na yata. So this is us talking to local government units, you know, letting them know that, encouraging them that their places be communities of love. Because at the end of the day, HIV/AIDS, this problem can be solved with love. Love in our communities, you know, love for people. So, yun yung gist ng ating message. And sana lahat tayo mahanap natin yung ating mga boses para sa advokasiyang ito. And next slide. Please. Break barriers. So don't be afraid also to break barriers. For the first time, I think in a long time, we were able to do a partnership with AFP, Armed Forces of the Philippines. And can you imagine that? The military actually investing so much time and effort on getting their soldiers tested for HIV. And that is an amazing thing kasi marami yung nagsasabi na medyo nagiging tabu pag-usapan sa loob ng military yung mga bagay na ito. You know, and being able to do this project is breaking grounds, you know. And another thing that I'm also very proud about in LHIVE Free is we were able to talk to religions and religious leaders, in fact. And we were able to present to Iglesia ni Cristo. We were also able to present to some sects in the Catholic Church. So we're very thankful for that kasi at least kahit may mga adjustments. But kahit pa may adjustments, so we're celebrating every inch of victory that we get. And to get them to talk about it, to get them to be aware of it, and to get them to, allow a presentation of it to their members is already a little victory that we will celebrate. So next slide po. I think this is the last, be true to your purpose. So I don't know how you got into this advocacy. I got into this advocacy or a much more active side of it because of a beauty pageant. I joined the Department of Health's search for its next ambassadors on HIV/AIDS. And I feel that no matter where or what the reason was, why you got into this advocacy, the most important thing is that you are true to your purpose. It doesn't matter kasi minsan sa isang advokasya, there will be some there will be some, in-betweens na minsan iisipin natin na, bakit pa siya nandito? What's the purpose? Ganyan. Ano ba talaga yung tunay na dahilan? Pero for me, just ignore all the noise in between. Stick to your purpose. Always have that in your heart and it will follow. No matter what happens, as you get older, just be true to yourself and ano man ang mangyari, saan ka man magpunta, you will always bring the magic of this advocacy in your life. And siguro before I say thank you and good night, or to end my presentation, I just wanted to share that, living a life of advocacy, living a life of purpose has always led me to paths or, a part of my destiny that I never expected. Sobrang dami na nangyari sa buhay ko. And some people would ask me, why are you doing this advocacy? Nakakapagod. Hindi ka naman sumisweldo. Wala namang cash prize. Wala namang monetary anything. Why are you doing this? Nakakapagod kaya. And I just tell them that, we do this because we want to serve people. Because we want to give back. I've always been a child of advocacy because I've seen that the different opportunities I've also been given is also because of other people who are true to their purpose and true to their advocacies. And we have the social responsibility to give back. So I hope that at the end of the day, maisip natin na we have to give back. So we also have to pursue an advocacy and live out our purpose. So yun lang. Maraming salamat po sa ating lahat. Thank you so much. And of course, I just also want to share a video sana yung campaign natin from Vicks Vapor Rub. Kung pwede lang po sanang pa-share, pa-play. Ready na ba? Kasi it's a very nice presentation, really, on the importance of the HIV/AIDS advocacy. Yeah. Medyo nahihirapan yata pero it's just on YouTube.
Ayan, so while waiting, hello Ate Patrixia. Is it Patrixia Ate or Patricia?
It's Patrixia.
Hello. Sorry Ate, na-mispronounce ko yung I thought
okay.
it was Patricia. Pero ang ganda Patrixia. Ayan, so we just want to emphasize ulit Ate Napakaganda yung sinabi kanina ni Ate Patricia na it's not really the HIV that we're fighting off, but it's really the stigma. Ayan. So Ate, I would like to inform you, I am proud to inform you that we from APEER Ilocos, we're actually an organization Ate. Ayan, nandyan na yung video, ayan. So, babalik tayo sa sinasabi ko mamaya.
Sige.
Gusto mo?
Anak, wag yan! Bakit kasi hinayaan ng magulang na gawin yan? Hindi ba nakakahawa yan?
Sa mata ng mga taong may konting alam tungkol sa kanya, nakakadiri siya.
Agnes? Agnes! Agnes!
Alam mo namang namatay na ang pamangkin ko. Yung best friend mong nagbigay ng pasaning ito. Wala na mag-alaga sa kanya.
Inayawan siya ng sariling kamag-anak. Pero tinanggap ko siya. Hindi ko alam kung anong haharapin ko noon.
Ano kung gagawin sa kanya? Kasi natin
Mrs., kailangan regular siyang i-test at i-monitor. Ganun talaga pag may HIV.
Ano po? Ano?
Nung narinig ko yun, HIV, parang gumuho ang mundo ko. Pero hindi ko siya binitawan.
Ay, Diyos ko! Baka naman magkasakit ka niya sa ginagawa mo. Hindi ka ba natatakot?
Nag-iba tingin sa amin ng mga tao. At walang oras na di ko nag-alala.
Ito yung
Pero hindi ako nawalan ng pag-asa. Ang hiling ko lang, sana maging gaya siya ng mga batang nakakapasok sa eskwela. May mga kaibigan. Apat na taon na hinintay ko bago marinig to. Natutulog na ang virus sa katawan niya. Ngayon, tulad lang siya ng ibang bata. Hindi niya piniling ipanganak ng ganito. Pero ang lagi kong iniisip, kung ano man ang nasa dugo niya, paulit-ulit na tinatalo ng pagmamahal ko sa kanya.
There.
Ayan. So, wow, ang ganda naman.
Nakaka-touch po yung video, ate, no?
Ayan. So, once again, mabalik ko yung sinasabi ko kanina, ate. And before that pala, we would like to thank you, ate, for for sharing us such a very informative discussion on HIV and AIDS. Sobrang lawak po ng na-add na information po sa amin, na particularly the youth or the young people dito po sa province. Ayan. So, gaya nga po ng sinasabi ko kanina po, I just want to share po, Ate Patrixia, that I am very much proud that APEER Ilocos po, we're actually conducting community-based peer education sessions. Ayan. We go down, actually we went down to different municipalities and communities in the province. Pumupunta kami, rini-reach out namin yung mga young people, and we're disseminating the right and accurate information. And gaya nga ng sinabi mo, knowledge is power. Oo nga naman, ate, no? Yung sinabi kanina ni ate na yung stigma talaga yung pinakaharap natin. It's not really HIV. Ayan, and it's very important that we disseminate to young people yung mga totoo and yung mga accurate na information, and in the near future maaring it can save their life, di ba, Mars?
Oo, tama, Mars. Kasi yung mga kaalaman na yun, yung mga information na yun, yun yung mag-e-end ng stigma sa mga people living with HIV. Kasi naman, nadi-discriminate sila kasi yung mga tao, konti lang yung nalalaman nila tungkol sa HIV and AIDS. So, para ma-protect natin yung ating mga sarili na din at yung mga ibang tao, at para matigil na talaga yung stigma and discrimination, kailangan talagang na ma-educate yung mga tao tungkol dito.
Ayan. And oo nga pala, just wanted to add po, yung sinabi kanina ni ate no, na about why are we staying on the advocacy, it's because napakasarap lang sa feeling no, that we are serving young people in the province. Although, gaya nga ng sinabi ni ate kanina na we don't get paid on the advocacy. Nasa advocacy tayo just because we wanted to serve young people. Gusto natin silang i-serve yung mga necessary access to services, particularly to sexual reproductive health and rights na di ba? Di ba, Mars?
Oo, tama yan, Mars. So kaya nga tayo volunteers at hindi natin ginagawa ito para sa sarili natin kasi ginagawa natin ito upang makatulong tayo sa ibang mga tao, especially sa mga kabataan.
Yan, tama. So ayan nga, Mars, ang ganda ng mga sinabi ni Ate Patrixia sa atin. Napakahalaga talaga na malaman ng mga kabataan ang mga impormasyon tulad nito upang maiwasan natin ang pagdami ng mga kaso ng HIV and AIDS.
So tama ka, Mars. Kaya naman nandito nga si APEER Ilocos Sur kasama ang mga partner organizations natin upang magbahagi ng mga reliable na information tungkol sa HIV and AIDS at gaya nga ng sabi mo, upang maiwasan ang pagdami ng HIV cases at pang mga STIs, kailangan ng mga ganitong kaalaman upang maprotektahan ang ating mga sarili.
Ayan, tama Mars. Ayan, mahalaga talagang pag-usapan ng mga yan, lalong-lalo na ngayong panahon ng pandemya na mas pa nating kailangan dahil naniniwala tayo na ang sexual reproductive health and rights access and services ay hindi dapat mahinto. Ayan. So ngayon, Ate Patricia, we are prepared questions dito before you go po, Ate. Ayan, question number 1 po. Being beauty queen and advocate or an ambassadress po, sa tingin niyo po, what makes, answered na pala to. What makes you stay on the book? Kasi gaya nga ng sinabi kanina ni Ate, no? Ayan. We are volunteering because we wanted to serve young people. Ayan, we also have here,
so may second question pa rin tayo, Ate Patricia, no? Being an ambassadress, ano po ang pinakamalaking challenge na encounter niyo po given the fact na napakarami niyo pong ganap sa buhay?
Well, I think the biggest challenge talaga is time management.
So ulitin ko lang po, no? Ano po yung
go ahead, kapatid.
Yeah.
So ulitin ko lang po, Ate Patricia, ano po yung pinakamalaking challenge na na-encounter nyo po sa advocacy given na napakarami nyo pong mga ginagawa sa buhay?
Well, for me talaga, it's time management. Time management kasi the most precious resource that anybody can give to anybody or any person or organization is time. And yung oras dapat talaga itinatakda. Because ang daming pwedeng maging rason kung bakit hindi pwede. Pero ikaw na lang talaga yung magtatakda kung bakit dapat at bakit papayag ka. So, at the end of the day, it's really a labor of love. If this is something that you're passionate about, ilalaan mo talaga yung oras.
Ayan. So ngayon, Mars, at Ate Patrixia, ngayon bibigyan naman natin ng chance yung mga kapatid natin or yung mga audience natin for if they have questions regarding the topic or regarding everything that they wanted to ask you po. Ayan, so, ayan. Okay, let's just wait. Ayan, so Mars. Ayun. So ayan, meron lamang something technical problem. So ayan, Ate.
Okay.
So ayun nga, kapatid, napakarami nating natutunan kay Ate Pat. Sana hindi lang ito manatili sa FB Live at ang ating mga natutunan, bagkus maibahagi natin ito sa mga iba pang kaalaman tungkol sa HIV and AIDS.
And now, magpapaalam na po tayo kay Ate, and on behalf of the board of APEER Ilocos Sur and all the members, we say thank you po sa pagpapaunlak ng aming imbitasyon. May you continue to be an inspiration to young people.
Thank you very much, guys, for having me. And siguro last request na lang, sana okay lang, I sent over what I call the Redvocate Bingo. Share it with people, share it with your friends, maybe on the official page. Please, it's a very easy bingo. All you have to do is encircle what you have done for the advocacy, and put a heart over the things you plan to do until the end of the year. So just when you guys can have done it, just put in your IG story or on your Facebook account and just tag me. I'm Patrixia Santos on Facebook and I'm Patrixia Santos X on IG. Also follow me kung gusto niyo and get more updates about our advocacies.
Ayan. So maraming salamat po Ate Pat. And we say goodbye to Ate Pat. Bye Ate Pat. Thank you so much.
Thank you po, Ate Patricia.
Ayan. Okay, ayan. Sa puntong ito naman, alam natin gusto naman ninyong mag-enjoy at manalo sa ng mga papremyo.
Kaya naman, tinatawagan namin ang kapatid namin sa APEER Ilocos Sur. He is an advocate gaya natin at trained peer leader from Batch 3.
Ayan. So ladies and gentlemen, para i-lead sa atin ang game for tonight, let us all welcome Emmanuel Arde.
So, yun na mga Ars, gising-gising mga kapatid, dumating na tayo sa isa sa mga highlight ng gabing ito. Alam ko na naghihintay din kayo, pero syempre, mahalaga din ang load sa atin. Ang pinakahintay ng lahat, sana all naghihintay. Pag-games natin ngayong gabi. So mga kapatid, handa na ba kayo? Ayan, so ang game natin ngayon ay tatawagin nating What's in the Box? Ito ang mechanics. May mga inihanda kaming 10 mystery items na pahulaan namin sa inyo. We will be giving clues sa bawat item at paunahan ng makakahula. Ang unang makakahula ng tamang sagot ay mananalo ng tumataginting na 100 pesos! O, diba? Sana all my 100. Papatahimikan tayo ng mga 7 days, 90 pesos, diba? Go 90. So, ayan, tama kapatid. Ngayon, tatanungin na namin kayo. Handa na ba kayo mga kapatid? Para sa 100 pesos, let's go. Magsimula na nga tayo. Simulan na natin ang ating Guess What's in the Box. Okay, so sa ating first item, okay, medyo mabigat siya. Medyo mabigat. Kung maririnig nyo, ayan, medyo mabigat siya. Ang first clue natin, dito mo malalaman ang tunay mong kulay. Dito mga kapatid, dito mo malalaman ang tunay mong kulay. Okay, and next clue, ito din ay flat. O, di ba? Napakadaming flat na bagay dito sa mundo. Okay.
Parang nasaktan naman ako dun sa flat na thing.
Appreciate the little things in life. Okay, o, di ba? Napakadaming flat dito sa buong mundo. And next clue, may iba't ibang kulay sa inyo ito. O, di ba? Napakadaming bagay na madaming kulay sa inyo. O, ayan. Comment section, guys. Nag-iintay kami dito and another clue. Ito ay pwede sa lalaki o babae. Okay, tingnan nyo. Ito, mabigat siya.
Ayan, and just drop your answers, guys, sa comment section natin.
Yes, tama. And last but not the least, ito na siguro yung magbibigay ng tamang guess sa inyo. Dito mo malalaman kung pangit ka ba talaga. O, di ba? Very realistic sa katotohanan. Ayan, so maghintay lamang tayo. Mag-abang natin sa comment section natin, guys. Ayan, abangan natin. Okay, so first clue ulit, dito mo malalaman ng kulay, ito ay flat. May iba't ibang kulay o disenyo, ito ay pwede sa lalaki o babae. At syempre, dito mo malalaman kung pangit ka ba talaga. Okay, ayan, hindi mo natin sa comment section. Okay. Ito lang po. Ito po kasi natin ngayon. Ayan, guys. May nakapag-comment ka ba? Nasaan na po yung mga nagpo-comments? Wala po nag-appear dito. I-refresh po. Okay, wait lang po. Wala po. Hello, bakit wala po nag-comment, guys? Okay, ito binabalikan na po natin at ang sagot ay mirror. Okay, tama nga naman. Kasi kung nakatingin ka sa mirror, malalaman mo talaga ang totoong kulay mo at kung pangit ka ba talaga. Okay, tignan niyo guys. Ito to. Alaman niyo mirror. So, nakita ko na okay. Okay, yun nga. Hindi pa po natin ma-identify kung sino ang winner. Wait lang po. Okay, may nanalo na po. So, ang nanalo po dun sa first is si Joshua S. Binteng. Okay, congratulations sa iyo, Joshua S. Binteng. Move na tayo ngayon dun sa next item natin. Okay, ito na, pakinggan ninyo. Hindi nyo siya masyadong marinig. At first clue, ito ay sinusuot ng kalalakihan. Okay, ano nga bang sinusuot ng kalalakihan, mga kapatid? Napakadaming choices dyan, mga kapatid. Okay, at ang second clue, ito ay ipinapasok. O, di ba? Sana all pinapasukan. Next clue, ito ay madulas-dulas. O, di ba? Napakadaming madudulas na bagay. Then, ito din ay available in different sizes, depende sa gagamit. Ayan, okay. At higit sa lahat, ito ay ginagamit for protection. Ayan, naghihintay po ako dun sa comment section, guys. Mag-comment na po kayo. Ayan, so wala pa mong nakakapag-comment ng tamang sagot, I think. Hello, naririnig niyo po ba ako? Hello, guys, comment section. First clue, ito ay sinusuot ng kalalakihan. Ito ay pinapasok. Ito ay madulas-dulas. May iba't ibang flavor. Oh, okay. And may nanalo na, mga kapatid. So, sino nga ba ang ating winner? And first, i-declare natin. So, ang sinusot ng kalalakihan ay pinapasok, madulas-dulas. May iba't ibang flavor, different sizes, and ginagamit for protection is male condom. O, di ba? Ayan. So, ang winner natin ay si Patrick Marcaida. Siya yung pinakaunang nag-comment. So, ayun nga, congratulations to Patrick Marcaida. So, move on na tayo dun sa item number 3 natin. Okay, kung mapapakinggan niyo, medyo mabigat siya. Ginagamit natin siyang lahat, mostly sa mga nag-online classes. At ito ay ang kapatid ni keyboard. O, sino nga bang kapatid ng keyboard ninyo? O, step bro, step sis. O, pili-pili dyan. And another clue, ito ay nag-slide sa gilid. O, di ba? Napakadami nag-slide din sa gilid. And next clue, ito ay available in different colors and sizes. O, di ba? Ano nga ba to? And last clue, ito ay ginagamit sa online classes ng kararamihan. So, balikan natin. Medyo mabigat siya. Ito ay kapatid ni keyboard. Nag-slide sa gilid and it is available in different colors and sizes. And lastly, ito din ay ginagamit sa mga, okay, may nanalo na, mga kaibigan, mga kapatid. So, sino nga bang ating lucky winner? Ayan, balikan po natin ang ating comment section kung sino ang nauna. Ayan, so ito ay kapatid ni keyboard, nag-slide sa gilid-gilid, available in different colors and sizes, ginagamit sa online classes ng kararamihan. Okay, hintayin lang po natin. Rine-refresh lang po natin, mga kaibigan. Okay, so ulitin lang po natin. Medyo mabigat din siya. Ang sagot is mouse. So, sino nga ba ang lucky winner natin? Sino nga bang nakahula ng item na ito? And ang unang nakahula ay si Trishnella II. Okay, congratulations to Trishnella. Move tayo sa fourth item natin. So, ito ay medyo mabigat, mga kapatid. Medyo mabigat siya. Okay, sa mga nakikinig dyan ngayon, ito po ay pinipindot-pindot at pinipisil-pisil. Okay, di ba? Napakadami pwedeng pindutin at pisil-pisilin. And ito din ay pinapasukan. And kadalasan ay flat. O, di ba? Napakadaming flat na bagay dito sa mundo. Next, it is also available in different sizes and color. Ito ay nagdudulot ng kasiyahan sa anumang edad. So, kahit na anong age ka, pwede kang sumaya dito. And then lastly, ginagamit pantawag o pantext kay jowa mo kung meron ka ng kalandiang iba. Okay. So, nag-aantay tayo ngayon sa comment section, guys. Kung sino ang pinakaunang makakapag-comment ng tamang sagot. Yan. So, ang clue natin, pinipindot-pindot at pinipisil-pisil. Nagdudulot ng kasiyahan sa anumang edad. Ito ay available in different sizes and color. Pag wala ng energy ay sinasaksak. And then may winner na po tayo, mga kapatid. So, ang item na ito ay cellphone. Okay, so sino nga bang ating lucky winner? Sino nga ba ang ating lucky winner ay si Mary Joy Valdez. Congratulations, Mary Joy Valdez. Ayan, siyang nakakuha ng tamang sagot. Okay, move on na po tayo sa susunod nating item. Ito, siguradong maraming makakakuha nito. Mabigat lang siya. As in, very mabigat. And stress na stress ang mga estudyante dito. Binabasa at sinasaulo ang linalaman nito. Binibigay ng guro at ipinapasa pag natapos ito. Okay, so maghihintay tayo ngayon. Paunahan dito kasi lahat tayo dito alam to ngayon. Talamak ito sa ating lahat. Okay. So ayan, maghihintay po tayo dun sa comment section. Ayun, okay, hintayin lang po natin. Ulitin ko po, stress na stress ang mga estudyante dito. Ito ay binabasa at okay. May nanalo na po ngayon ng mystery item po natin ay Charan! Module! So ayan. Ito nga ang ating mystery item at ang nakakuha ng tamang sagot ay si Ezra Fabros Agbulos. Okay, congratulations ulit. Ezra Fabros Agbulos, siyang nakakuha ng tamang sagot. And now, moving on sa susunod nating gamit. Ayan, hintayin lang natin. So ito po ay matigas. O, di ba? Napakadaming pwedeng matigas na bagay na nilalagay dito sa box. Ito din po ay mahaba and it is available in different sizes. Ito ay kailangan ng lahat. O, di ba? Napakadaming kailangan natin na matitigas, mahahaba, at available in different sizes. Remember po, ito ay kailangan ng lahat. Ito ay matigas, mahaba, and available in different sizes. And pwede kang mabasa dito. O, di ba? Napakadaming bagay na pwede mo mapakabasahan. And then ito din ay nakakapawi ng kalungkutan. Okay. Hintay-hintay lang po sa comment section, guys. Kung sino pong unang makakakuha. Okay. Yan, waiting po tayo ngayon. And okay, may nanalo na nga mga kaibigan. At ang hidden item natin ay... Wait, i-confirm lamang natin. Okay, sorry. Joke lang. Pinasa ka din pala. So, ayun, pasahin din kita. Wala pa palang nakakuha ng tamang sagot. Hintay-hintay lang po. Ulitin ko po, ito ay matigas. Ayan, medyo maingay siya, medyo mabigat. Ito ay mahaba. Available in different sizes. Ito ay kailangan ng lahat and pwede kang mabasa dito. Ito din ay nakakapawi ng kalungkutan. Okay, so wala pa yatang nakakuha ng tamang sagot. Comment lang kayo, guys. Comment lang muna kayo. Ito, medyo mabigat siya. Ayan, so maghihintay tayo sa comment section, guys. Tignan nga natin yung comment section. Okay, wala pa yatang nakakakuha. Ayan, wala pa yatang nakakuha. So ulitin po natin. Ito po ay matigas, ito ay mahaba, available in different sizes. Ito ay kailangan ng lahat. Pwede kang mabasa dito. And nakakapawi ng uhaw pala, sorry po. So ayan, ulitin po natin. Ito ay matigas, ito ay mahaba, available in different sizes. Ito ay kailangan ng lahat, nakakapawi ng uhaw. Iniinom, okay, nasan na kayo mga nagko-comment? Ito po ay iniinom, matigas, mahaba, available in different sizes, kailangan ng lahat, and ito din ay nakakapawi ng uhaw at ito ay iniinom. Okay, wala pa bang nakakuha, guys? Ayan na, tignan po natin. Ayan, wala pa yata. Okay, wala pa pong nakakuha, guys. Okay, so dito yata tayo magtatagal. Sige, pagalingan na dito, guys. Ito din na nakikita sa refrigerator, nabibili sa kantina sa school. Kadalasan is mga 15 pesos per piece. Yan, madalas tag 10 or tag 15 pag pumupunta kayo ng kantin, or ito yung binibili ninyo pagkatapos ninyo. Ayan, so i-declare na po natin. Ulitin lang po natin, ito ay matigas, mahaba, available in different sizes. Kailangan ng lahat. Okay, wala pong nakasagot dito and ang ating mystery item po ay bottled water po siya, di ba? Ito ay matigas, mahaba, available in different sizes, around 10 to 15 na nabibili sa kantina. or sa kahit anumang store. Okay. So next item na po tayo mga kapatid. Ayan. So ito po ay napakagaan. Okay, tingnan nyo, pakinggan nyo po, wala po talagang tunog. Ito po ay napakagaan, and kung iniwan ka ng jowa mo, magagamit mo ito. Ay di sana all may jowa. Ito ay kulay puti at nakarolyo tulad ng pagpapaikot niya sa'yo. Ito ay napuputol gaya ng relasyon ninyo na hindi nag-work. O, di ba? Paano kung nag-work tayo? Edi may pera tayong lahat. So, ito ay tinatapon lang pag pinagsawaan na. So, sino yung tinapon dito nung pinagsawaan na? Ayan, ulitin natin guys ha. Magaan lang siya. Kung iniwan ka ng jowa mo, magagamit mo ito. And kulay puti at nakarolyo tulad ng pagpapaikot niya sa'yo. And may nanalo na nga mga kapatid at i-reveal na natin ang item. So, ang item natin ay tissue. Okay, so madami siguro kayong ex or madami nang naiwan sa inyo, kaya alam nyo agad yung sagot. At ang winner ay ayan na nga, tsan-tararan, si Mark Christian G. Bulag. Congratulations kapatid. Nakailang ex ka na ba? Charot. Okay, moving on sa next item natin. Ayan, medyo magaan. Napakaingay naman dito sa loob ng box. Okay, ito ay ginagamit kapag lumalabas. Diba? Sana all linalabasan. Kailangang nakasuot pagpapasok ng establishments, lalo na sa mga kainan, guys. Just like dun sa McDo, di ba? Sa Pandayan. Ito din ay for protection at di kinakalimutan tulad ng call sign ninyo ng kabit mo, di ba? Sana all may kabit. And then, ito ay sa mukha inilalagay. O, di ba? Sana lahat linalabasan. Okay, protection laban sa COVID-19. Diyos kong wala pang makakuha nito. O, ulitin lang natin. Ginagamit ito pag lumalabas tayo. O, di ba? Okay, meron na. Nire-reveal na natin ang item. Ano nga ba tong item na to? Siguro madaming nahirapan dito, charot. Okay, napaka-obvious naman guys. So, ang item natin ay face shield. O, di ba? Okay, so, ang nakakuha ng tamang sagot ay sino nga ba? Hintayin natin. Andyan na nga, si De La Cruz Nura or De La Cruz Nora. Congratulations sa iyo, kapatid. Moving on sa next item natin. Ayan na nga, hintayin lang natin mga kapatid ha. Ayun, ito po ay pakinggan nyo naman po, napakaingay, parang mabigat-bigat. So ayan, ito po ay mahaba, o di ba? Napakadaming mahaba dito sa mundo, tulad ng pasensya. Okay, pero ang diferensya lang nun, hindi mo yun malalagay sa box kasi hindi lahat ng tao may pasensya. Okay, madalas pinampapalo, o di ba? Ginagamit ng mga parents natin sa atin or kayo kasi hindi naman ako ginamitan ng ganito, di ba? Sana all ginagamit. Okay, ito ay maaaring higpitan at pulungin para di malaglag si shorts o pantalon. O, di ba? Sino nang nalaglagan ng shorts o pantalon dito? Ayan, hintayin natin dun sa comment section. Nasaan na, guys? Nasaan na? Napakabigat nito. Okay. Ulitin natin, ito po ay mahaba. Sana all mahaba. Ito po ay matigas. Napakatigas po ng ulo nito. As in, napakatigas. Available in different sizes and color. Different material made. Madalas pinampapalo kung malupit ka ding bata ka pero mas malupit yung parents mo, okay? Maaring higpitan at paluwangin para di malaglag si shorts o pantalon, okay? Hintayin lang po natin. Backread po tayo dun sa comment section. Ayan, hintayin lang po natin. Ito po ay mahaba, matigas ang ulo, madalas pinampapalo. Maaring higpitan at paluwangin para di malaglag si shorts. Okay. Ayan, so, yung nakakuha po ng tamang sagot ay nanalo na po ulit. So, okay, ibibigay po natin dun sa second po na nakahula para give chances to others naman. Kasi, ayun, we will choose the second. Kasi nga, di ba, tatahimikin ka na nga ng 1 week, 7 days ng Go 90 mo, tapos mo dadagdagan pa ng 100 o di ba 2 weeks ka ng tahimik. Siyempre, mawiwirduhan na rin yung parents mo kung bungangera ka din tulad ko, di ba? So, pipiliin po natin yung pangalawa, i-reveal na po natin ang item na may matigas na ulo, di ba? Sana all matigas and madalas pinampapalo, maaring higpitan at paluwangin. Ayan, obvious pa ba? Belt, okay, di ba? Sino nalaglagan ng shorts dito? I-reveal na po natin ang nakakuha po ng mystery item dun sa box. ay si John Romwell Raquel Molina nga po mga kaibigan. Ulitin po natin, congratulations kay John Romwell Raquel Molina. Napakahaba ng pangalan, parang tongue twister. Okay, last item na po tayo guys. Last item, bawi na kayo. Oh, ito na, sinishake ko na. Walang tunog. Medyo magaan siya guys. Ito po ay nabibinat. Oh, nabibinat siya. Lumuluwang din to sa mga sana all malawang. And then ginagamit pantali ng buhok. Ayan, kung wala pang nakakuha nito, ewan ko na lang. Ginagamit pong pantali ng buhok. Yan, ginagamit pong pantali ng buhok. My God, nasa na yung mga sagot ninyo guys? Last item na natin to, humabol na kayo. So ito po ay nabibinat, available in different colors and sizes, depende sa preference mo. Ito po ay lumuluwang or pwede paluwangin, ginagamit pantali ng buhok. Ayan, nasan na nga mga kapatid? Nasan na? Ayan, show me the comments po. Nasan? Ayun, hintayin po natin, nandyan na po. Okay, wait lang po. Ayan, meron na pong nanalo and sorry na po sa mga nauling nakapagsabi or talagang hindi po nakakuha ng tamang sagot. So, ang item na ito po ay ponytail. O, di ba? Tingnan nyo naman, ito ay nabibinat, lumuluwang at ginagamit pantali ng buhok. So, ayun na nga, yun ang ating last item. So, ayan, dyan nagtatapos ang aming What's in the Mystery Box. Sana na-enjoy ninyo ang ating game. Sa mga winners natin, nandyan po ang aming APEER Technical Committee para malaman kung paano i-claim ang prizes. So, that's it for me. Maraming salamat mga kapatid and good night. God bless. Ay, wait, sorry po. So, ang winner po ng ating ponytail ay si Christian J.E. Cabanglan. Sorry po. So, ayun, ang ating winner po ay si Christian J.E. Cabanglan. Ayan, okay. So, kunwari hindi nyo narinig. Ulitin lang natin. So ayan dyan, nagtatapos ang aming What's in the Mystery Box. Sana na-enjoy nyo ang ating game sa mga winners natin. Nandyan po ang aming APEER Technical Committee para malaman kung paano i-claim ang prizes. Maraming salamat mga kapatid and good night and God bless po. That's it for me guys.
Ayan, so grabe. Ang saya naman. Grabe yung energy, Mars, no? Ayan, maraming salamat kapatid na Eman. Ayan, sana naman nag-enjoy kayo sa game natin tonight. Ayan, so nagpaalam na nga kapatid natin si Eman. Goodbye, Eman. And now?
So asahan nyo mga kapatid na mas marami pang prizes at chikahan ng ating pagsasamahan sa mga next episodes pa natin. Kaya naman, tumutok lang kayo.
Ayan, tama ka dyan, partner. At before tayo magpaalam, let us also welcome ang pinaka-fresh na Board of Directors at pinaka-powerful sa lahat. To give his closing remarks, let us all welcome John Mar Padilla.
So magandang gabi sa ating lahat. Maraming salamat.
So ayan, Kuya John Mar. Nakamute ka yata, Kuya John Mar. Hindi ka naririnig ng ating mga viewers. Kuya John Mar.
Nakamute ka, ma'am.
Nakamute ka yata.
Ayan,
so pwede na.
Hello, magandang gabi sa ating lahat. Alam niyo, walang ganito kasi sa bukid. So, mahirap ang buhay doon. So, maraming salamat, Giancarlo and Ami, of course. Ayan, sinaloka pa ako, nakamute talaga ako din. Magandang gabi sa ating lahat. So, we, the APEER Ilocos would like to express our sincere gratitude to our provincial government of Ilocos, headed by our very hardworking Governor Ryan Luis Singson, to our to our witty and exquisite keynote speaker, ang ating Queen, Patrixia Sherly Santos, our Miss Philippines Year 2020. And of course, kahit pinaglayo man tayo ng panahon at sitwasyon, nandiyan pa rin ang ating mother organization, ang APEER Pilipinas, headed by sa pinaka-fresh na president, Kuya Ralph Ivan Samson, and of course, ang kanyang mga board of trustees, Vice President for Visayas, Kuya Rejan, and ang kanilang General Secretary, si Ate Crizel. At syempre, ang ating mga board of directors sa APEER Ilocos Sur, kahit na busy, they always find ways para tumulong sa ating AgSARITA. And of course, ang di mawawala at palaging nakagabay at nakatutok na ating kuya, at ang ating butining senior board member, si Kuya Jaime Jimboy Sington. Sa ating mga matatapang na moderator, sa ating kapatid, Giancarlo and Ami Valdez, hello. Congratulations mga kapatid. And of course, sa mga behind the scenes, of course, nakalimutan ko si napakagwapo nating kapatid, si Eman Arden. Ayan, ganyan din naman ang ating mga behind the scenes beauties. Yan si Franz Louis Galacio and Mark Kenneth Drihe, ang ating mga board of directors. And of course, si Kuya Anthony Rivera. And of course, sa lahat ng mga tumutok, sumabaybay, nanood, nakipuyat, lahat tumulong, at lahat-lahat ng young leaders, maraming salamat po. Agyaman kami, kada kayo amin nga awan, labas na. Agyaman kami. Ayan. Maraming salamat.
Ayan.
See you on our next AgSARITA episodes.
Ayan, maraming salamat kapatid na John Mar. Ayan, so nasabi nga na lahat, salamatan na lahat ng kapatid na John Mar, no? Mars, so dapat pa natin. Anyways, thank you, Mars, John Mar. Ayan. So muli mga kapatid, gusto ulit namin pakilala ang aming mga sarili. My name is John Carlo de la Cruz.
And I am Ami Joy Valdez.
And we are saying thank you and paalam. Goodbye mga kapatid.
Thank you sa mga nanood sa live namin. See you sa next episode. Salamat. Bye. Nagwaway kami.